I don't know, man. It seems like females, bitches, they could do any of the whole shit that they want, and it's just all good. I'm looking at this picture of Rihanna and ASAP Rocky at some sort of award ceremony or what have you, and like he's holding an umbrella over her, and she's cheesing from ear to ear, pregnant, because she's about to have another one of his babies. And shout out to them, you know what I mean, for being able to find some sort of happiness in this cold, fucked up world. But it's just amazing to me that her whole phase did not seem to have a consequence based on the fact that they are together, based on the fact that they even have what they have. You know, this apparently great relationship. And I'm basing that on the fact that not only are they together, but they're procreating, which is what you're supposed to do. You find somebody, you link up, you get married, you have children. And it just amazes me that the whole phase that she went through, which lasted since Chris Brown, that she still somehow is able to maintain value. You know, the type of value that men are in search of when they want a woman that they want to be with. I just find it, I guess I'm tickled by it, because I'm like, yo, this is crazy. It's funny to me that you don't judge her by that same standard of what you know a hoe to have been. Well, at least it doesn't seem as such, you know what I mean? I was thinking to myself that she is they say that her net worth is that she's a billionaire. So automatically I'm thinking that definitely puts her into a different category when it comes to the context of having been such a prolific hoe for so long. You know, it changes the perspective of it, and it's simply because of the money. And it's not that I'm putting that value on it, because I think myself, I would still have the issue. Like, I don't think I could still, whether she was this billionaire or not, sure, would I enjoy wanting to be in her company? Yeah, because, most of us would want to experience that shit just to see what it's like, being with Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? Like, you will get caught up in that, in the quote unquote moment, because it's Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? And me personally, I like the thicker version that she's become over the years. I know some people that might not be their preference. They might have liked it when she was slimmer. I've always liked thicker Rihanna. Thicker Rihanna to me was always that's what you wanted. You dig what I'm saying? Because she's a beautiful girl, but that path to getting that thickness that attracts you, or that attracts me, I should say, was always the thing that made sense. So if I had to be with Rihanna, now would be the time, given the weight that she's put on and how I think that shit looks amazing. But, that's neither here nor there. With the experience is what I'm talking about. I think most dudes in her, if you were engaged in any sort of banter conversation with her where, it was going your way and it started becoming clear and evident that this girl was interested, you could, you might want to say that your judgment of her past with other dudes might come into play. But truthfully, in those moments, unless you have some enormous amount of dick discipline where you decide that you don't care, you're not going to rock with this chick, you're not even going to try and, sleep with her, get your shit off, or, the opposite, that you're not even going to try and pursue some sort of long-term relationship, like A$AP Rocky to that degree. Unless you have some sort of, where you're just like, hell no, no way in the world because of her history. Most men are we're gonna try to hit. At the very least, we're gonna try to hit. Now, whether her charms and the flow of the situation lead to you getting caught up in to where you might end up in a relationship with this person, I think that's more subjective to the individual. You know what I mean? Like, if you're prone to those types of things where, you might get caught up with a female that you liking, or that likes you, because let's be clear, that's the starting point of any adventure that is to become a relationship between myself and any woman. She gotta like me, a hell of a lot. That's what I'm rocking with. So I can't imagine that, any other fella might not think the same. I mean, some of y'all don't. Some of you brothers, I don't understand what motivates you when it comes to the pursuit of a relationship with some of these bros, because y'all be bedding down and holding on to some hoes, which is the point of what we talking about. Holding on to a hoe, or someone who, because once a hoe, always one. I can't imagine that, the appetite she may have had is gone. Speaking about Rihanna, but nonetheless, I guess we put her in a different category because she's wealthy. Like in the movie Speed, Dennis Hopper's character, at one point in the movie, after he had he's battling back and forth with the hero Keanu Reeves' character, and they're at a stalemate, and this is after Dennis Hopper's character has already gotten the money that he, the ransom money that he expected, which made him very wealthy. At one point, Keanu says something to him, and it goes along the lines. He says to him, "You're crazy," and Dennis Hopper character responds with, "I'm not crazy, Jack. Crazy's for poor people. I'm eccentric." And that always struck me from back then, because at first it was like, what the hell does that mean? I was a kid when this movie came out, so I was like, what does that mean? But then as I immediately got on the case of trying to gain some understanding of what it meant by that. And what I came to find out is that he's delineating the fact that having money changes the situation. And that's why it's kind of like when you look at Rihanna and her, the fact that, yeah, she is traditionally what we would call a hoe, having had a very storied hoe phase, but yet having all of that money somehow changes her situation, how we view her. Even most of us, we're softer on her in how we view her with A$AP. We look at A$AP we don't look at him as this guy who, although he is just that, he's a guy that wound up with a hoe. He's, what we would traditionally say, you're trying to turn a hoe into a housewife. That's what that situation is. But yet, it's not viewed that way, because coming into that scenario, he was worth less money than she is. So the dynamic changes, and so does the way we view it. how is she the hoe if she's got all the money? Well, she's still a hoe. She still has been. She still was. And all of that is still 100%. It is what it is. But based on the dynamic, once you include the bread, once you include that scratch, aka money, she is now a different person. She's different than just a hoe. She's, like Dennis Hopper made the point, eccentric. So, with that given, hold on.